Hello again, John Denver fans and friends. Corinne Smith here, continuing our journey through John's albums in the order in which they were originally released. And now we arrive at my favorite year of all time, 1975. My favorite year personally because it represents graduating from high school and going off to college. My favorite year in John Denver world because it brings us three terrific albums. And the first one is so important that it's the only one we are going to talk about today. Yes, friends, February of 1975 finally brought us, ladies and gentlemen, An Evening with John Denver. Yay! Well, I've been waiting for this for a long time, I'll tell you. This album has already been mentioned in most, if not all, of the episodes of this series. It is that important. It is a double live album, live concert album that I consider actually to be more of a greatest hits album than this one is. What do you guys think? I've always listened to this one more than to this one. And maybe it's because you hear John talk on this one or that it's longer. I'm not sure. What do you think? Anyway, An Evening with John Denver. Now, getting down to specifics, there are 23 songs on here. John wrote 15 of them. Most of the 23 had already appeared on previous albums. In fact, 7 of them had appeared on the most recent album, Back Home Again, which makes perfect sense, right? Because that's when the concerts took place, 1974. Only 5 songs on here had not appeared on previous releases, and only one of those 5 was written by John. So can you guess which tune it is? When we played this album for the first time, which one was a new John Denver song to us? I'll give you some time to think about that. So, this is a live album that's supposed to simulate the concert experience, as if you yourself had been sitting at the Universal Amphitheater in Los Angeles in late August and early September of 1974. So, we are going to approach this album by just going through it song by song. First, I want to point out something about the actual vinyl records themselves. Okay, it's a double album set, so you get 2, right? And one of them is marked A and D, and one of them is marked B and C. Why? Because you put the A down first and you put the B on top of it, and actually after they play through, then you pick them up and you switch them around and automatically C and D are in the right order, right? Why didn't I think of that myself? Some record producing company person was really thinking there. Anyway, back to the concert. It begins with John singing one verse of The Music Is You. And then the announcer says, "Ladies and gentlemen, John Denver." Wild applause and cheering ensues, and John shouts, "Good evening!" And off we go. So his formal start to the concert is with the song Farewell Andromeda, Welcome to My Morning, which is his nod to Werner Erhard and the Est training that he was into at the time. After John's spoken introduction, he launches into 2 songs from the Rocky Mountain High album, Mother Nature's Son, written by Lennon and McCartney, and Summer from the 5-part Season Suite. Actually, he alters the song here. It's the verse from Summer, but it's actually the chorus, the second verse, and the final chorus from Spring. It's a merging of the two, but it includes the powerful take action refrain from Spring. Do you care what's happening around you? Do your senses know the changes when they come? Can you see yourself reflected in the seasons? Can you understand the need to carry on? One of my absolute favorite empowerment songs, Spring from Season Suite on Rocky Mountain High. Okay, then we have 2 songs written by Randy Sparks, which John evidently had performed in concert but had not put on any albums. The first one is the popular song Today, which I can attest was already a staple around Girl Scout evening campfires. I used to play and sing it myself at Camp Furnace Hills in Denver, Pennsylvania. You know today. Today, while the blossoms still cling to the vine. You know that. Okay. After today, John introduces his band members and the other men involved in the production because a full orchestra does accompany his band here. And then we have the bouncy, funny Randy Sparks song, Saturday Night in Toledo, Ohio. Could you even perform this song in concert today? I wonder. I don't know. Pokes fun at the residents of Toledo. At the time, a lot of them thought it was funny and appropriate. The mayor, however, did not. And again, I don't know if you could pull it off playing it in concert today. John got chastised for it at times, and he didn't even write the song. Anyway, that's the end of side A. Side B has an upbeat start with Matthew. And then it slows down to a waltz with Rocky Mountain Suite, Cold Nights in Canada. This is followed by Sweet Surrender. Interestingly enough, between the time that this album was recorded in the fall of 1974 and the time that it came out in early 1975, Sweet Surrender actually made the top 40 charts. It had been on the Back Home Again album. And it was also the musical theme for the movie The Bears and I, which had been released in July of 1974. I talked more about the song and about the movie in our previous episode, part 4. Back here, we are treated to more fun again with a spirited version of Grandma's Featherbed, written by Jim Connors. Then John gets personal when he introduces Annie's song, Another Waltz. Side B ends with a powerful rendition of The Eagle and the Hawk, of course, with full orchestra. Another item of interest here. You know, back in those days, children, we didn't have fancy concert productions with light shows and explosions and stuff. Yet here, I'm going to disappear for a second here. On the liner, you can see 3 images pictured behind him. And they must have been for the song Matthew. Now, think about this. This is 1974. How are you going to beam images on there, on big screens behind John? They must have been slides on carousel projectors, right? Yeah, because we didn't have, this is 1974, we didn't have computerized stuff like that then, okay? Now, I had not gotten to see John in person yet. I wouldn't get to see him until 1980, and I don't remember in that concert at the Hershey Park Arena in Hershey, Pennsylvania, if there were any pictures beamed up behind him. I don't think there were. Anyway, color slides advancing behind him in this major production at Universal Amphitheater. All right, so then you flip the vinyls over, and we're on to side C, which begins with My Sweet Lady. John picks the intro a little bit differently than he does on Poems, Prayers, and Promises. So for all you looking for nuances like that, you might want to compare the two. This song is followed by the John Denver song that is brand new to us on this album, and it's Annie's Other Song. La 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 la. I like it. Then we have another song that he had not recorded anywhere. And it's a song written by Michael Martin Murphey and Owens B. Castleman, Boy from the Country. Michael Murphy wrote it specifically for John, and he is still quick to point out that it's the first song that he ever earned royalties from as a songwriter. I think Boy from the Country is the perfect song to describe John. The lyrics are moving enough that whenever anybody performs it, it's a moving song, especially thinking about John and now that John is gone. I had a chance to see Michael Murphy in concert in 2014 in a very small venue in Wilmington, Delaware. There were only maybe 20, 25 people in the audience. The audience was so small that after a while, Michael just said, "Is there anything you want to hear?" And I said, "Boy from the Country." So he talked about John, and he played Boy from the Country, and wow, it's a powerful thing to hear any song performed by the actual songwriter anyway. But knowing that Michael did it for John and all that, it was very powerful. So what I've done is I've included a link below to Michael Martin Murphey doing this Boy from the Country in person, in concert, so that you can hear him do it. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it'll be a moving experience for you too. So, side C continues with Rhymes and Reasons, and then it ends with humor with Tom Paxton's song Forest Lawn, which makes fun of celebrity funerals of all things. We first heard John sing this song on his 1970 album, Take Me to Tomorrow. And that leads us with side D. Side D starts us hopping with something else we'd never heard before. It's the bluegrass instrumental called Pickin' the Sun Down, written by Steve Weisberg and John Martin Summers. It makes the perfect intro and segue into Thank God I'm a Country Boy, written by John Martin Summers. Now, even though Thank God I'm a Country Boy had appeared on Back Home Again, it was this live version that made the charts and that we heard on the radio. Spent 15 weeks on the charts, even spent 1 week at #1. Can you even remember or imagine a time when a John Denver song was #1 in the country, and not only that, it was Thank God I'm a Country Boy? Maybe you don't remember that, but yeah, it's true. It's true. So then the concert winds down and ends with 3 strong selections: Take Me Home, Country Roads, Poems, Prayers, and Promises, and of course, Rocky Mountain High. And then everybody goes away. John comes back for a solo encore performance of This Old Guitar. And this is how we finish our evening with John Denver. Peace, my friends. Every selection on this album was deliberately chosen from the similar recordings that were made over the course of this week's worth of performances in Los Angeles. The pacing is terrific, with the mix of serious songs and humorous ones, mix of John songs with others, mix of popular tunes and ones that you may not have known. Just like any good performance, just like any concert lineup, any set list. Okay? The result is a perfect depiction of a live concert, of being there and experiencing the evening for yourself. So why would anybody want to tamper with it? I don't know. But that's exactly what RCA, and by that time BMG Entertainment, did when it released a 2 CD set of An Evening with John Denver in 2001. It wasn't enough to simply duplicate the original vinyl album. Oh no, we couldn't have that. We had to add bonus tracks at the end of the second CD. 6 extra songs. So, here's the explanation from the liner notes. Bonus tracks. On August 14th, 1973, just 1 year before John performed the songs on this record in California, he gave a concert in his beloved Colorado. The venue was the Red Rocks Park Amphitheater, and the 6 bonus tracks included on this CD are taken from that show. Once again, John is at his best, at a time when he could relish every word, every note, every moment. These songs have never been released before. Unless you were at the concert, you've never heard them. Oh yeah? Cool. Songs we've never heard before? Sure, I'm in. I'd love to hear this. Yes, please. Except that we have heard them before, as it turns out, if we've listened to John's previous albums. In fact, one song we just heard a few minutes ago. So, here are my opinions of the 6 bonus tracks. I'll tell you what they are, and I'll tell you my opinions. I think you can already guess of the 6 bonus tracks here. Number 1 is John's welcome to the Red Rocks audience, and then, for some reason, Saturday Night in Toledo, Ohio. We just heard this song. We just heard this song on the first side of this album, or on the first CD of this set. We just heard it, and it's not all that different from the original concert recording, okay? Why would the record company choose to duplicate it and offer it as a bonus track? First of all, did John really start a concert with that song? I find it hard to believe that. And in Colorado, even. In Ohio, maybe, but in Colorado. And why would he do that? And if he did, why would you include it knowing full well that it's on the original recording that you just... No. Now, you could have removed it from the original recording, but to their credit, the company didn't do that. They let the concert, they let this album stand on the 1.5 CDs in the CD set, and then they added these 6 bonus tracks. Okay, now, bottom line is, I kind of like Saturday Night in Toledo, Ohio. I think it's funny. It is, the first time you hear it, again, I'm not even sure you could perform it in concert today. The first time you hear it, and it's new to you, you either laugh or you groan or you get offended. Okay, those are probably the 3, the 3 reactions. But afterward, you know what's coming. It's not a surprise anymore the second time. It may not be as funny to you the second time. It'll be old hat by then. You'll know what to expect, especially if you've already heard it in the same afternoon earlier. It would be like a comedian offering up the same joke twice in one set. Why would you do that? You wouldn't do that, right? So I guess you know where I stand on this issue. I don't understand why they couldn't find a different song to start off with. Moving on. Second bonus track is a combination of the song Follow Me, segueing into Leaving on a Jet Plane. Okay, neither one of those songs made the original live album. Okay, but fans have heard both of those songs before, independently probably. And if they saw John perform in concert at other times, maybe they have heard him merge this combination. It is nice to hear here. Okay, Follow Me into Leaving on a Jet Plane. Number 3 is City of New Orleans. John released a studio version of this Arlo Guthrie song on the Airy album. And I talked about Airy and about this song in part 2 of this review series. Here, John talks about Arlo having a hit with the song when he hadn't, and there's a whole other story about that. And if you look for sources online, you might find more details about controversy about songwriting credits on that song between Arlo and John Denver. So you may never have heard about that before, or what his opinion was on that before, so it can be an interesting addition to this CD as a bonus track. Number 4 is a combination of the song Zachary and Jennifer segueing into For Baby for Bobby. Now this is interesting. This is a merge that maybe people hadn't heard before, because you don't really hear Zachary and Jennifer that often. You didn't hear it very often back then. It originally appeared on the Farewell Andromeda album. It would also be included on Greatest Hits Volume 2. Otherwise, you may not hear Zachary and Jennifer about John and Annie wanting to adopt children. For Baby for Bobby had already appeared in different versions in different places, including the faster one recorded when John was with the Mitchell Trio. Anyway, this is a selection that is an interesting and good one. Zachary and Jennifer into For Baby for Bobby. Okay, we'll accept that. Number 5 is I'd Rather Be a Cowboy, Ladies Change. Also from the Farewell Andromeda album. It's my second favorite John Denver song, so I'm glad it's here. It was not on the original concert recording, so I will gleefully say yes to that one. Number 6, the last bonus track on here, is the song Amsterdam, which was also on John's album Take Me to Tomorrow. The song was written in French by Jacques Brel, and the lyrics were translated into English by Mort Schumann. It's a pretty gritty description of sailors on leave in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. It's sung in a minor key, seems to make it all the more ominous. John sings it with a lot of passion, and it turns out that a lot of other folks had recorded this song over the years, including David Bowie, and the lyrics have been translated into at least 10 other languages. I just don't understand the appeal. I didn't like this song when I first heard it on Take Me to Tomorrow, which is the second John Denver album I ever bought in the 70s. I didn't like it back then. I still don't like it. I don't like it as the finale of these bonus tracks. I mean, if that's the impression you want to leave people with, really? Bah. Okay. I think you know where I stand on this issue. All right. And that's what I have to say about the bonus tracks on the CD. Now, just like the Farewell Andromeda CD, I have worn out several copies of this. I don't know if you can see. As you can see, it comes apart and there's only one CD in here. I don't know where the second one is, which is okay because it's got the bonus tracks on it. But when I have it all together and I'm playing it one after the other, when we get to the bonus tracks, I start pushing buttons and I skip over the second repeat of Saturday Night in Toledo, Ohio. I skip over City of New Orleans, and I certainly skip over Amsterdam. And if I'm quick on the switching of the CDs, before you know it, we can get right back to, ladies and gentlemen, John Denver. All right. And then off we go again. Good evening. Now, I really like, you can tell, I really like this album, and I really like listening to it. Now, also, we're talking about formats here. Also, back in '75, they did release cassette versions, cassette editions of An Evening with John Denver, and this was a revelation because this 2-record set got translated into just one cassette. That didn't happen very often. They usually had to have 2 to cover this much material. 42 minutes almost on each side. That wasn't done. It's billed as a twin pack. It's billed as a twin pack. And this one's cracked. And I actually have 2 of them, which was kind of confusing. But it is all on one cassette. And I think this one, open these cassettes. I think I can tell which one was really released in 1975 and which one came afterward. Right? That's the way cassettes work. Anyway, if you have the cassette version, it is the complete original concert recording without silly bonus tracks. Okay? Anyway, I guess we've covered enough about An Evening with John Denver. By the way, Universal Amphitheater, where these concerts were recorded, no longer exists. It had been built in 1971 as part of Universal Studios property, and it was torn down in 2013 to make way for the wizarding world of Harry Potter. So there. Now, before we part company, please do not forget that I have included a link below to Michael Martin Murphey performing Boy from the Country. Again, I think you'll like it. It's powerful, and if you get to see Michael in person, and if you get to ask him for a song, do it. It's well worth it. So, that's it for this one and the first album of 1975. Our chronological review will continue next time with the other 2 albums from 1975, plus a bonus album that you may never have come upon before. Should we consider it to be a bonus track? Well, we'll see, won't we? Next time. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Corinne Smith. See you next time with more thoughts about John Denver and his music and that fabulous year of 1975.